I have a friend who's a software engineer. And when someone asks him what he does for a living, he says, "I'm a software engineer. I work for a game developer." And everybody knows what that means. I have another friend who's a psychiatrist. When someone asks him what he does for a living, he says, "I'm a psychiatrist. I work in a hospital." There's no follow-up question to that. Now, I've been a procurement professional for over 25 years. But when I tell someone that I work in strategic sourcing, it's usually followed by something like, "So what does that mean?" Or, "What do you do exactly?" Or the one that really gets to me, "So you're like a buyer?" Part of the confusion is that our industry hasn't done a really good job of defining what strategic sourcing is for a company. Now, most organizations do have a strategic sourcing function. So it's important for us to understand what that means for our organization and exactly what role we play as procurement professionals. Now, the million-dollar question: what is strategic sourcing? Some organizations mandate that strategic sourcing is responsible for issuing an RFP and negotiating with the supplier. But once the deal's done, sourcing steps aside and then the business takes over managing that relationship. So not really strategic in nature, but more operational, because a vendor is selected based on a set of immediate needs, and sourcing's role is really limited to facilitating a transaction. Some organizations will take it further and have category managers involved in the entire life cycle of the supplier relationship. And this could include things like vendor performance management by way of performance against SLAs. But again, this is still focused more on cost reduction and cost savings, so not really strategic at an organizational level. So how do we get there? How do we become strategic? Well, this training will give procurement professionals the tools they need to truly elevate their role into a strategic sourcing function and align what they do with their organization's corporate objectives and competitive marketing position. We'll take the participants through a process of how to manage suppliers and supplier relationships that are aligned with organizational goals and objectives, as well as how to develop negotiation skills that will help them develop mutually beneficial relationships with those suppliers.